Thank you for calling on me. A while ago, I got the brilliant idea that I wanted to bring in abundance and prosperity into my life. And working on that project, that was way before I discovered Abraham and his teachings several years ago. And working towards that project, I worked on my business and trying to create more prosperity, which was starting to work. And then the recession came, and then I took a very steep dip into my finances. And after reading your books and listening to your tapes and coming to your workshops, I've noticed some significant changes in that area, but not quite where I want to be. I want the floodgates to open and the money to pour in. So,
well, you're doing what a lot of people are doing. You're letting the way you feel about your finances be dictated to you, or at least influenced by what you're observing. In other words, as you were telling us this logical sequence of events, it's clear and everybody understands why, but you're responding to the conditions, and the answer to get to where you want to be is that you have to have a vibrational response to something other than conditions that aren't pleasing you. In other words, you can't let the conditions that aren't up to speed with what you want be the reason that you're offering the vibration that you're offering, because that just perpetuates more of the same. Do you think that in your improving financial condition that you ever reached the place that you were in pure expectation of things to continue to move in the direction of the really strong avalanche and flow that you were just speaking about?
Yes, I had the expectation. I focus, and then I have resistance, and then I focus and I have resistance.
So what you're saying is, occasionally I have expectation of what I want, and occasionally I have expectation of the opposite of what I want.
True.
So, and can you see how expectation of what you want and expectation of what you don't want, and expectation of what you want, expectation of what you don't want, just keeps anything from really changing? So you have to find a way to really clean up that expectation.
And that is done by?
That is done by never again telling the story of the recession. That helps for a start. Because, and we understand why you would want to tell that story, because it looked like things were going well, and then it looked like things weren't going well. And so the explanation of the turn from the going well to the not going well is the recession, or the slowdown. But whether it's true or not, Esther would say, but it's true. And we say, whether it's true or not, it's the keeping of the resistant vibration active. So what we're trying to poke around until we stir up so that you and others can feel it is, you have to reach the place where you acknowledge that the key to creation is conjuring a vibration apart from reality. Because the reality is things have slowed down. So if reality dominates, not just dictates, but dominates, not just really dominates, just mostly, even if it's a 51-49 expectation, is still messing with what's going on. In other words, when you say, I want it, but 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 you can get really old and tired before anything shifts, because you just keep not allowing it to break loose. So you have to find a way to clear the path vibrationally, which means you have, and we're going to keep saying these words until they break loose in you in a way that you feel it. Conjure expectation apart from reality. Conjure meaning stimulate and exercise and practice until it's dominant, apart from reality. Well, theoretically, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And in an environment like that, you might even be able to do it. But, those bills coming, and reality sort of demands your attention. Most people are really fixated on reality. It's so vivid with all of its physicalness. I can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. It's so vivid. And what I'm conjuring isn't. It would be comparable to going to a motion picture in a great big surround sound environment with 3D and all of that vivid production of sight and sound, and having someone say, do you want to go do that, or do you want to sit in a closet and visualize? I think I'll go to the motion picture. I think I'll let them stimulate. It's so much more fun. Ooh, ah, amazing. Ooh, ah. I think I'll go again and again and again and again. It's so much bigger. And we say, of course it is. It's manifested. It's manifested. So you're translating it into sight and sound and smell and taste and touch. We know you're addicted to reality. We get it. But you're also the creator of new realities. And if reality isn't in its vivid expression of itself to you, which is another way of saying the part of reality that you're focused on right now, if it isn't the reality that you want, then it's keeping you from the reality you want, because it's the reality you're practicing. So some questions have shot up out of that. So how do I ignore current reality? And we say, well, at least let's make it general instead of specific. Generalize it. That helps. That begins the diffusing of it. In other words, you feel the difference between the general statement of, I wanted to improve my financial condition, and I did. It's kind of up and down. Down a little right now, but soon will be up. Now that was accurate. That was an accurate statement. We just said the same thing you just said. We just said it in a far less resistant way, didn't we? So the most resistant way. I have this specific business, and I had X amount of dollars, and I began focusing, and I brought my income up to this amount of dollars, and I was working this many hours and this many dollars, and I had this much money saved. Now that's all pretty specific. And then the recession came, and now I only have this many dollars, and I can't seem to stir up the momentum that I had going before. It's the same story, but feel how much more specific that was and how much more resistance was in it. So now let's tell the less resistant story again. I'm the creator of my own reality, and I'm just really getting the hang of this. And it's fun to observe how it's been going for me and to think about how it is going. General, and feels really good. I am getting it, that I can focus my feelings into positive expectation, and I know it works because I've done it before. I'm feeling kind of excited about doing it again. So we think that, all the books that we've written are full of processes, all with the intention of helping the reader release resistance. Because we know in the releasing of resistance, the vortex will take you in. These days, we are eager for you to release resistance so that the vortex can take you in. But we are really, really, really eager for you to realize that the vortex does take you in several times, usually, in every day. Because you don't have the ability to focus outside of the vortex all day, every day. You can't do it. A dog's going to show up and make you think about it for a minute. Something's going to happen. In other words, you cannot wake up outside the vortex and maintain outside the vortex all the time. You cannot do it, because this vortex is calling you, and it has its way with you frequently. But you are so practiced in your facing of reality that you don't ever stay in there very long. until you're aware of it and doing it on purpose. Because the reality of life, and as our friend helped us to point out about even Jerry and Esther, there's a tendency to focus on the table that's broken and not all of the other wonderful things that aren't broken. Because no table should be broken and nothing should ever go wrong. And we're just saying that you have options about what you give your attention to. So the answer that you're looking for really is, I'm going to find the general peace and quiet and satisfaction of the vortex. And I'm going to be aware of when I'm in there, and I'm going to milk it when I am in there. So by milk it, what do we mean? Just don't do anything that throws you out. We said the other day, it's like, did you ever have parents that you walked on eggs around? In other words, you knew how far you could go, and you only went that far if you were smart. Well, the vortex is not like a temperamental parent. Well, it sort of is, in the sense that when you get crossways of the current, then you're no longer in the vortex. So you want to get in there by generally feeling good, and then just your work this is the process of all processes. This is the work that is to be done now at the point that you are now understanding. Your work is to get into the vortex and stay as general as you can in your thinking, so that you can begin to assimilate, so that you can begin to mesh with, so that you can begin to resonate with, so that you can begin to reverberate with, so that the vortex can begin to tune the vibrational instrument that is you. Some years ago, someone who was dealing with tuning forks told us that if he struck a tuning fork and made it reverberate, that all the other little tuning forks were having a vibrational response to it. In other words, when you let the vortex take you in, and you reach for general enough good feeling thoughts that you hang around in the vortex will naturally cause your vibration to raise, because in the absence of resistance, that's just what always happens. So now you're resonating and reverberating, and now ideas begin to occur to you. It goes beyond the feeling, which is first, to ideas and impulses, and then to clear business plans and rendezvous and all kinds of things that translate into specific money and improvement and deposits and assets and opportunities and so forth.